Many people look at MMA fighters and think the secret is just big muscles and shredded abs. But when you step inside a real fight gym, you quickly realize those men are built for survival under pressure. They need strength that works when lungs are burning, grip is failing, and another human is trying to drag them to the floor. Traditional bodybuilding often isolates muscles like machines in a factory. MMA training forces the entire body to move like one violent, coordinated system. I remember walking into an MMA conditioning session after years of lifting weights, and honestly feeling humbled within minutes. My shoulders were on fire, my core felt weak, and my hands were exhausted before the warm-up even ended. That was the moment I understood the difference between looking strong and actually being strong. These exercises are brutal because they build endurance, explosive power, balance, body control, and real-world toughness all at the same time. And yes, they can absolutely build serious muscle too, for years afterward.
Crab walks look ridiculous the first time you see them. You feel like a confused crab escaping from a broken aquarium while your neighbors wonder what happened to your life. But MMA fighters and wrestlers use this movement for one reason. It works. The moment you lift your hips off the floor and start moving forward and backward, your shoulders begin burning almost immediately. Your core tightens hard, your glutes switch on, even your coordination gets tested because the body has to move together instead of relying on one strong muscle. That is why this exercise builds athletic strength instead of mirror muscles. To do it correctly, place your hands behind your body. Keep your chest open, raise your hips, and move slowly with control. Do not let your hips collapse toward the floor because that tension is where the real benefit happens. Most beginners last 20 seconds before shaking like a shopping cart with one broken wheel. Fighters often push for 40 seconds or longer because the goal is endurance under fatigue. Crab walks also activate the posterior chain, which helps posture, movement, and body control during explosive actions. It is simple, uncomfortable, and brutally effective, which is exactly why combat athletes still use it today. After a few rounds, you stop caring how awkward the movement looks and start respecting how quickly it exposes weakness. That is MMA conditioning. Nothing glamorous, just movements forcing your body to earn strength.
Wall walks are one of those exercises that look simple until your body starts negotiating for mercy. You begin in a push-up position. Place your feet against the wall and slowly walk them upward while your hands crawl backward toward the wall. Suddenly, your shoulders light up, your core locks tight, and every inch feels heavier than the last. MMA fighters love this movement because it develops progressive shoulder engagement, brutal eccentric loading, and full body awareness under pressure. This is not just about upside-down tricks for social media. It builds the kind of shoulder stability and pressing strength fighters need when defending takedowns or surviving bad positions on the ground. The first time I seriously tried wall walks, I thought my face was going to explode like an overcooked tomato. Blood rushed into my head, my arms started shaking, and my balance disappeared halfway through the set. That is why this exercise humbles strong people very quickly. You can bench press heavy weight and still struggle against one wall and your own body weight. The key is moving slowly, keeping the core tight, and staying controlled instead of rushing. Wall walks teach you how to stay calm while your entire body is screaming to quit. That mental control is exactly why fighters respect this movement so much. And once you climb down from the wall, your shoulders feel exhausted, but your confidence feels stronger than before every session.
The handstand push-up is one of the most humbling upper body exercises an MMA fighter can do. This movement does not care how impressive your gym selfies look or how much weight you bench on Monday afternoons. The second your body flips upside down against the wall, everything changes. Your shoulders carry enormous pressure, your triceps fight to stabilize every inch, and your core has to stay locked tighter than a seatbelt during turbulence. Fighters use this exercise because it builds real overhead strength that transfers directly into explosive pushing power and body control under pressure. To perform it, kick your feet onto the wall into a handstand position. Lower your head slowly toward the floor, then drive your body back upward with control. Beginners usually start with wall handstand holds, pike push-ups, or partial repetitions before attempting full reps. And honestly, that progression matters, because rushing this movement is like trying to sprint before learning how to walk. The goal is never speed. The goal is total control. Fighters typically perform 3 to 8 repetitions because each rep feels like a full-body battle. Your shoulders burn, your balance shakes, and your breathing becomes chaotic fast. But over time, the handstand push-up develops shoulder stability, explosive pressing strength, and a powerful upper body appearance that instantly gives that unmistakable fighter physique look. Even standing normally afterward feels different, stronger, more stable, and more athletic overall every day.
Sledgehammer strikes are probably the closest thing to legal destruction you can do inside a workout. You grab a 10 to 20-pound hammer, stand over a giant tire, and start swinging with controlled violence. At first, it feels fun, almost like a movie training montage. Then, 30 seconds later, your lungs are burning, your grip is dying, and your entire body feels cooked. That is exactly why MMA fighters and boxers love this exercise. Every strike forces power to travel from the feet, through the hips, into the core, and finally explode through the shoulders and hands. This creates serious rotational strength that transfers directly into hooks, elbows, sweeps, and explosive striking movements during fights. The tire also absorbs impact, which creates heavy eccentric stress and forces muscle fibers to break down and rebuild stronger. Fighters usually perform these rounds for 1 to 3 minutes because it mimics the non-stop fatigue of real combat rounds. Personally, I always thought this exercise and tire flipping looked incredibly fun because they feel raw and primal compared to normal gym machines. The problem is, most commercial gyms do not even have these tools anymore. You walk into modern gyms and see 20 treadmills, but almost no place to smash a hammer into a tire like a warrior preparing for battle. And honestly, after trying it yourself, you understand immediately why fighters respect this brutal conditioning exercise so much afterward, too.
The one-arm push-up is one of the most iconic bodyweight exercises ever used by fighters and old-school warriors. This movement looks simple until you actually attempt it and realize your entire body starts shaking like a washing machine full of bricks. The reason is simple. One-arm push-ups demand insane chest strength, triceps power, shoulder stability, and extreme core tension all at the same time. Your whole body has to resist rotation while balancing on a single arm, which turns every repetition into a full-body fight. To perform it correctly, spread your feet wide for stability. Place one hand directly under the shoulder and keep the other hand behind your back or resting near your hip. Lower your body slowly with control, then press upward with explosive force. Most beginners cannot jump straight into full repetitions, which is completely normal. Fighters often build toward it using incline one-arm push-ups, assisted variations, and archer push-ups first. Even advanced athletes usually perform only 3 to 6 repetitions per side because quality matters far more than chasing high numbers. The real benefit is brutal unilateral strength development that thickens the chest and triceps while forcing the core to stabilize constantly against rotation. Over time, this creates incredible body control and that raw combat strength you immediately notice when watching experienced fighters move in training or competition every single day.
Sled pushing is one of the most brutal conditioning exercises MMA fighters use to build real fight endurance and raw lower body power. At first glance, it looks easy. You lean forward, grab the handles, and start driving the sled across the floor. Then reality hits after about 10 seconds. Your legs feel heavier every step, your lungs begin panicking, and suddenly the sled feels like you were trying to push a parked truck through wet cement. What makes sled pushing different from normal sprinting is the complete absence of momentum. During a sprint, momentum helps carry you forward. With a heavy sled, every single step must create fresh force from zero. Nothing helps you except your own power output. That constant resistance lights up the quads, glutes, calves, core, and hip flexors all at once. Fighters often load more than 200 pounds and push for 30 to 50 yards because it simulates the non-stop muscular fatigue of wrestling exchanges and clinch battles. The best part is that sled pushing builds serious muscle and conditioning while placing less stress on the joints compared to heavy squats. you still develop brutal leg drive and explosive power without constantly crushing the knees and lower back. And honestly, after one hard sled session, walking normally back to your car feels like a small personal victory every single time afterward for most people.
Tire flipping is one of the most savage strength exercises MMA fighters use to develop raw power and full-body explosiveness. You are not lifting a perfectly balanced barbell with smooth handles and comfortable grip positions. You are wrestling a giant tractor tire that weighs anywhere from 300 to 500 pounds and constantly fights back against you. That is what makes this movement so effective. Every flip combines the mechanics of a deadlift, a clean, and a push press into one violent full-body effort. Your legs drive hard from the floor, the hips explode forward, the upper body pushes aggressively, and the stabilizing muscles work overtime just to control the awkward shifting weight. Unlike gym machines, the tire does not move predictably. It wobbles, shifts, and changes balance during every repetition, forcing the body to react instantly under pressure. This develops incredible explosive tension, grip strength, and body coordination that transfers directly into clinch situations and opponent control during fights. The first time most people try tire flipping, they expect it to feel like a heavy deadlift. Instead, it feels more like fighting a stubborn refrigerator that refuses to cooperate. Fighters love this exercise because it teaches the body to stay powerful while handling chaos and instability. And in combat sports, that ability to control unpredictable force is often what separates dangerous fighters from average athletes inside the cage. The biggest lesson from MMA training is that fighters are not just building muscles. They are building endurance, stability, coordination, explosiveness, and resilience under pressure. Every exercise forces the body to move through tension, chaos, fatigue, and adaptation. That is why fighter conditioning feels completely different from traditional gym training. I honestly thought I was strong after years of lifting weights, until I trained with MMA fighters and realized how quickly my body broke down. I could lift heavy, but I was not prepared to control my body while exhausted and under pressure. Real strength is not about looking powerful in lighting. Real strength means your body can perform when breathing gets hard, muscles burn, and chaos starts taking over.